Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you feeling?
Better every day. It's impressive how if you exercise, how good you can feel.
Is that right?
So I go to the pool every day, and I get PT twice a week. I'm a big proponent of that profession, physical therapy.
Yeah. You look good. I just didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad to see that you're doing okay.
Well, yeah, this part's good.
Thank you for taking this time. I thought it would be great for people in Japan to get to know you a little bit more. And I know that we have the upcoming webinar scheduled later this month. So I know that you have another appointment to get to today with Sylvia. So I'll just start firing my questions away, if that's okay.
Okay, go right ahead.
So first off, what courses do you teach at Washington University currently? What are your responsibilities?
You know, that's a very loaded question because we are in a curriculum renewal. So the topics that I am responsible for are associated with the thoracic spine, the sacroiliac joint, and then anything associated with women's health. I coordinate a unit that for the legacy curriculum will be in the general medical conditions, but for the new curriculum, I don't know. It's like we're putting it all together as we roll. It's really exciting. So yeah, those are the key pieces that I kind of plug in. And then the other aspect that I have been working for years with is the case integration and evidence analysis. So I'm the current course master for the case integration 2 in the legacy curriculum, which allows the students to explore all kinds of aspects associated with clinical cases and reviewing the literature on a clinical question of their choice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like the case integration courses were so helpful in just recalling what happened during the clinical rotations, sharing our experiences and learning further, not just during the clinical, but afterwards and talking about them.
Yeah, reflection is such a key component to developing expertise. And so we never get it right, all the time, or even always, I mean, I'm always getting it wrong. And then I'm like, oh, can we do better? And that's what I love about that series, is that it teaches self-reflection from a professional perspective in order to become kind of a reflective practitioner as they keep going. So it makes it's really fun. It's fun to see how they think about what they did and, what could they do differently, and just learn from that. So yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. And you are the go-to person for women's health, men's health at WashU. How did you choose pelvic health as your specialty or as your interest?
That's a great question. I was still part-time faculty at the time that the university was going to hire a urogynecologist and start a surgical program for urogynecology. And they immediately had come to Dr. Dusinger, who was the chair at that time, and said, we need physical therapy support. And I had been doing home care PRN, and a lot of people in the homebound situation have problems with incontinence disorders. And I thought, this really does affect the quality of life. And so I was kind of willing to take the risk to learn more about it. And the more I learned about it, the more I realized that this could be a really nice niche. And I really had a passion for understanding how to help people that have pelvic related dysfunctions. So I thought I'd treat incontinence, which I do, but I treat way more pain And it's so interesting because people will tell you about the incontinence before they'll tell you about the pain sometimes, because there's so much shame associated with pain with intercourse or some kind of discomfort that's in an area that they're not comfortable with. So it's been a wonderful ride to build a residency program so that when I'm gone, there's a legacy of people that can do the work beyond me. And our biggest, most recent accomplishment is that we're facilitating getting an inpatient C-section service line started at Barnes Hospital. So they'll be deploying it probably in the next month or so, but that's been an ongoing 20+ year project, starting with Jen Miller's white paper all the way through to business plans. And this time the residency got to do implementation of it. So it's kind of slow, but we keep going. Slow and steady wins the race.
That what year was that when WashU was trying to bring in the urogynecology program?
1996.
1996. I see. And Tracy, if I get this correct, are you one of the first specialists with the women's health specialty?
Yep, I was in the first cohort along with my colleague Stacy Tilka. So we studied and took the test together, which was awesome. So when the specialty wasn't available when I first started, there was no concept of women's health specialization, and so specialization actually started for women's health in like 2007, and 2009 was the first exam. And then it kind of rolls from there. So every 10 years you have to recertify. So I'm done my recertification and heading into, deciding if I'll go all the way for recertification for a third time, or will I become a emeritus? Kind of depends on my clinical practice at that point. So we'll just see. 2029 is a long way away. I have time to think about it.
That's true. That's true. All right. And you were responsible for writing the thoracic spine chapter for the second MSI textbook. What was that like, writing that chapter?
It was exciting. A labor of love, a pain in your bottom. And I don't get all the credit. A big shout out to Renee Ivins. She and I were co-authors on that. And I'm an idea, big picture person, and she is a detail woman. So between the two of us, the marriage of that really helped round out that chapter. So I thoroughly enjoy working with her. So yeah, that was, it was very enlightening as to how much work that goes into writing a chapter of any kind, nonetheless an entire book. So it's a lot of work. Yep.
And I know that you have been, not lately, but you had traveled quite a bit to Ethiopia. Can you share with us about how you got started working with people in Ethiopia? And is it the Worldwide Fistula Fund that you're working with?
Correct. So I've been on the board for the Worldwide Fistula Fund since 2014. And the urogynecologist that I worked with at WashU at the time was Dr. Lewis Wall, who was duly appointed in anthropology and OBGYN. So he had done his PhD work in England and found a love of African medicine and discovered the need to advocate for women all over the world, because simple things like safe birth practices would prevent these major birth-related impairments that occurred when the birth goes awry. And so I got pulled through by Lewis, and he kind of met me purposely in order to say, I need physical therapy support for the programs that I'm developing. And since I'm coming to WashU, I really would love to have you be involved. And so I met him in 2002. And I didn't go to Africa until 10 years later, which was good because I didn't know anything about Africa. But I've been able to, up until the pandemic, go about two to four times. 4 times is a little too many, but go and do capacity building. I'm trying to invest in the intellectual resources in the northern part of Ethiopia, helping to develop their physical therapy program. We've been able to pull through some of our faculty to teach, to enhance their master's program. And we were just on the cusp of developing a center of excellence for urogyn surgeries for prolapse and incontinence in the medical center when war broke out in the region. And so COVID became a opportunity for evil in the world. And that's unfortunate, but true. So knowing now that we'll just have to wait and see how our work, how we'll be able to pick up the pieces, I don't know. But the Worldwide Fish Lift Fund continues to support other programs in other regions as well. So I also have been doing some mentoring with a surgical center in Uganda, a program called Terwode. So I've been able to go there twice and kind of see what that type of environment is like, because it's different. Every country has got their different cultural innuendos and needs, and so it's been really a wonderful growth experience for myself to get out of the United States and kind of see how physical therapy can be practiced in other parts of the world.
Yeah. What are there big I tend to, this is my own fault and kind of lumping Africa together as one continent. But like, what were some of the cultural differences that you noticed between Ethiopia and Uganda?
Let's see. The Ugandans are not as shy about communicating regarding urogenital needs. They have had a lot of community-based awareness that it's important to be open and upfront with your conditions. So they don't shy away from this hurts and it hurts during this task. Versus Ethiopians are extremely private and very reserved. And so being able to develop a trust relationship has been a piece of the capacity building in order to have them understand that I'm not going to exploit what their issues are. I'm there to help. And so it's been a 1 step forward, 2 steps back in Ethiopia, where with Uganda, it was like just took off like the program has just taken off like really quickly because there's openness to having the conversations. The Uganda program was designed from the perspective of a social worker, Alice Umatsu, who is a graduate of the WashU social work program, where you develop consensus from within the community for how you want to sustain change. And so she started with town hall meetings under trees with groups, solidarity groups that she's developed to find out what their needs are. And then when they express their needs, then she tries to come up with ways to meet their needs in order to build the health for the community. So it's like a grassroots kind of, that people were asking for a hospital for women instead of the government saying, we're going to provide a hospital for you, which is a completely different philosophy. So that's another difference, I think, is that this program developed from the grassroots up versus the program that we've been working for in Mekele was kind of government decided we're going to have physical therapy, create physical therapy programs. And they've just been doing that just as fast as they possibly can, with no one over the age of 30 that has any clinical experience. So the need for mentoring is profound there.
Yes.
Versus in Uganda, the physical therapy education has been more connected to higher education and going beyond just your bachelor's degree, getting PhDs. A lot of Ugandans go into Europe and train. They do clinical work in Poland and other parts of Europe. So it's really fascinating. It's just culturally, they're kind of a little bit more progressed in their understanding of physical therapy and how it can benefit. And they're way more open about just talking about things.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And were there any language barriers when you were in both of those countries?
Not really, but yes. so that both groups speak English. In Ethiopia, there's like 4 major tribes that have 4 major languages, but of all of them, the government language is Amharic. But the generation that I have been working with was educated in English, and so they have their own regional language. So in the Tigrian region, they speak Tigrian, but they also speak Amharic, but they have been taught all of their education and textbooks in English. And so they all have a basic level of understanding of English, and it kind of depends on which of them have continued to use it and continue to progress. So those who grew up with English always being spoken, it's not a problem. So those are the oldest therapists, and then the younger ones are starting to rebel against everything is in English, and it's easier for us if we speak in Tigrian with each other. And so I've had this transition of student where my first cohort understood English really well, and by the last cohort, they're like somebody in the group is interpreting for somebody else because they're progressing through physical therapy, but they're doing it within their country, within their own language. So it's a good, bad problem. But in Uganda, the English is the language of everyone. Everyone speaks English.
Okay.
So no matter what your socioeconomic status is, you speak some English. And they do still have unique tribal languages that they speak like out in the bush. But they all do all of their commerce and everything in English. It's really interesting. Yeah. So it depends on who was the group that kind of came in and established the government system, and then the choices that they made. Ethiopia has never been, what is the word I'm looking for when one country comes in and takes over? They've never had a sovereignty. They've never had a country come in and impose their laws upon them. They've always been independent. Versus Uganda had, I think it was French at first because it's English. It's English. So Uganda's English because they drive on the other side of the road.
Oh, that's how I can tell.
That's how I remember it. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. It took me forever to get used to when we're making a left turn. I thought, oh my God, we're going to get hit, because it's like, you're like going left, but it's your right. And I'm like,
yes. Oh, yes.
It took me a long time to be able to sit in the front of the bus. I would jump every time. I'd be like, no, it's okay.
Yes, the little things that we take for granted, right? Go ahead.
Ethiopians are known for their coffee, and Ugandans are known for their tea.
Oh, wow. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
So what can we expect to learn from you in a couple weeks here on September 26th? The Japanese physios are looking forward to meeting you. But yeah, so can you give us a little preview?
Sure. I'm going to start with just the hormonal and biomechanical changes that happen with pregnancy and delivery. And then we will kind of see where this grows. I'm finding it hard to get it down into a small package. So the first aspect is going to be just to kind of go over the hormonal changes and how it affects the cardiovascular system, and then kind of go through the tissues, so the bones, the musculoskeletal system, postural changes, muscle changes, and then what the act of having birth, be it vaginal delivery or a C-section, how that might affect the tissues. So that's where we're going to start. And that's kind of like, we'll just kind of see where this grows because it keeps growing.
Yes.
But I really want to kind of provide just the first pass is do no harm, and what are the safety things that you have to kind of pay attention to related to the cardiovascular system, and then why, and then we'll move into the musculoskeletal system from there. So
yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it. So yeah, I can't wait to see the slides, and you know, it's gonna be sequential. So it will be a little bit shorter lecture than what you're used to giving just in English. But yeah, thank you for being with us.
Oh, I'm excited. It will be really fun.
Yeah. So you got people like me who are like, you know, the outpatient ortho musculoskeletal therapist, and then you'll have a bunch of women's health specialists as well. So
well, I believe that all physical therapists need to understand this material that is coming. And the choice to decide to do pelvic floor work is not for everybody, but there's too many pregnant women in the world.
Yes.
So like they're just so much, the benefits outweigh the discomfort of just being fearful that you might hurt them, which is the most common thing I hear, is that culturally, I got this from the Ethiopians, they just didn't believe that it was safe for physical therapists to work with mothers while they're pregnant because they could harm them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
yeah.
important.
So learning what are the safety things, and then moving from there, and you can be what physical therapy can really help.
Yes.
So we can improve that morbidity piece. So, so that's good.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much for your time, Tracy. And
absolutely, thank you for your patience.
I hope you get better and better. I hope you get better and better every day.
I'll keep plugging along here.
Yeah.
Bye now.
All right. Take care. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.